better lighting. So, I think so. Now, let's talk about it. Usually I do book reviews on this YouTube channel, interview, however I find them, and content that I want to create. I want to not pigeonhole myself with always law of attraction videos, because that's what most people who watch my book reviews most are law of attraction. And if I haven't made that clear, I'm sorry about that. Now, let's talk about God and all the other stuff that I want to talk about. Is, when I do, welcome to God's throne and you're in heaven, it's just that my imagination. Like, it's Hollywood film or most people believe in God in a way that they turn God into the human form, right? Just like everything people try to do is like they turn things into human form, from robots to something. It's always got to be relatable to the human being, right? So when I talk about those things, it's just me acting a role just for fun. It's me because I like to become a character. It's for me. It's my outlet. Just try to be creative. Try to project how I wanted the world to see for how the vast majority of the world believe what God is, right? And oftentimes people put God in a box, and most oftentimes human label things, and oftentimes these labels cause people to limit themselves, their thinking, and the world around them. And when I was a kid, I always used the word God because my friend introduced me to that word. I didn't even know that word existed. Because we saw the Bible. It was back in, what was it? It was downstairs. Not this house, but the other house, and it was in the basement, and we found a Bible. And ever since then, I pray anything, if I try to pray, so to protect my family and stuff like that. Anyway, the word God, right? Some people hate it, some people love it, right? Some people were born into a religion like Catholic or Christianity. I don't remember that. In the book of Wicca and Witchcraft, there was terrible things that happened, where they say, what I think it's either Christianity or, kill witches, because people think witches are evil, and, but they're not. Or unless, but in this world, so there's the average person believing in God, right? Whatever their version of God is. And a lot of people on this YouTube channel are aware of this, not God, but they use different terms because they're, awakened, while the average person haven't awakened yet. People say, in my definition, there are spiritual teachers, right, that are into religion, but they're not very aware of what's going around them, right? Where they're spiritual teachers, where they are aware what's going inside of them and outside of them, right? Meaning that the spiritual teacher understood what the universe is. They are awoken, or awakened to something inside of them and outside of. So when I use the word term God, when it comes to a human being who have done the work, or who are already on the spiritual path, and they understood the term, and I have to speak in their language. For me anyway, you don't have to do that. Most people say, oh, you shouldn't be relatable or whatever. for me, I want to be able to develop a rapport with human beings so I can relate to them. That's just me. I just want to, because when you speak in their language, you connect them at their subconscious level, right? So let's say if I talk to the average person about God and all the other stuff, I can relate to them down, not where the terminologies and the words of other people, spirituality people use, and that's a spiritual jargon that's too complex for the average person to understand. But if I talk to other spiritual people, they would understand about all these things that people are aware of. Now, for me, when I talk about awaken, I think awaken mean to me is I'm aware about my energy, about my surroundings, and that when you're aware that coincidence doesn't look like coincidence. You know what I'm saying, right? Where this, if someone enter your space, it probably had a reason for it. That somehow that the energy or whatever system that you use to release that energy to cause it to the energy to move into form in that reality that you have. But the average person doesn't understand that. They think that would be coincidence, right? And where they said that low level of consciousness, low level of vibration or awareness, right? So, but also awaken meaning that their perception and awareness has expanded to the point where they're aware, they're more connected with their intuition. They can even talk to the other person by using mental telepathy, and they can very connected, and they can feel the person energy, right? While the average person, they think that's weird, or they call it woo-woo, right? And so there's many name for the word God, or people with spirituality use the source, the force. I think it's been a while. I haven't read the book for a long time. I think it was in the God Code of Greg Braden. He talked about Yahweh. There's many names for. There's many names for God in many different religion, right? Or Egypt, right, where they talk about the sun god Ra. So, and also I think that when you become aware about, so when I was slipping through life, that I was, so when I was a kid, I was aware, but I wasn't aware. Like when I was a kid, I thought this couldn't happen, like a strange thing, like I couldn't understand. But because so many things that we've been told over the years, and we think it was true, and it's just, we stopped listening to our geniuses. That's what's built in us. I think that God or the source, the force, life force, had built a genius within our heart. I think that every time I try to figure and become aware of this, it is the intelligent, like the heart is very intelligent. I don't know what it is, but it always knows how to direct you where you want it to go. Like your heart knows. And so, whatever you call it, superconscious, whatever, you can't, I feel like people put God in the box, but like, I remember back in the day I used to watch, what's his name? He's the author of God, I can't remember what's his name, Donald Walsh or something? I can't remember, but, I remember I was watching a video talking about, this is God, everything is God. I used to try to explain that to my mom. Say, hey, look, this is God. Like, the window, this is God, or we call God Amjad, right? Amjad. But, like we are made from this source, right? And so everything is living thing, nature, it comes from that. So I can't like this thing that we call God or source, the force, it's always there guiding us. Even if we have a rough time, you know, like even if you have a rough time, right, you know that you can always be connected to that, right? And that this thing that when you call it, it comes. But I think it's had to be honed. It's a skill set that you have to practice listening to it. That's what I believe. And that there is something that people cannot explain. Like, so sleepwalking through life, I think a lot of people sleepwalk through life. That they don't believe that their dream could come true because, you know, layers and layers of a lot of things that have been told over the years. And sleepwalking meaning that they're just living based upon how they grew up, what they hear, and, you know, they're not aware of what life have to offer. And so as you begin this spiritual path, this whatever that is for you anyway, that's people have their own thing, that when you begin on this journey, something happened. When you're on this path of following your heart or the spiritual journey, or whatever your dreams or your desire, it reveals itself more and more intensely sometimes to it, because you have the courage